Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Chronicle podcast. I'm your guys' host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. Today on the show, we have a very fun guest. Richard Douek is on the show today. Richard has done a lot of books of his own. He's done TMNT, he's done Superman, he's done a lot of shit, and we talk about a lot this episode. So if you're a creative especially, you're really going to get a kick out of it. Richard and I talk about, creation, going forward, and actually doing the writing. If you're a writer, going forward and actually doing the writing instead of just saying you're doing it or going to do it. Actually going out there and doing it. And we talk, motivation and creativity, to say the least, taking things for granted in a way, and all sorts of jazz. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode of the podcast. Be sure to subscribe on wherever you're listening on, because there are a lot of people listening on so many different things anymore. Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, comicchronicle.podbean.com, or whatever third-party app you're using. I'm on Twitter at DakotaMorgan3, Instagram at Dakota_Morgan97, and on Twitch, if you want to catch me live, raw, and uncut when I play video games, KotaRex97. But if you want to catch all the other stuff I do with dinosaurs, science, toys, and video games and jazz like that, Dakota Morgan on YouTube. And enough of the stuff promoting, though. Now, folks, let's get into my talk with Richard. Yep, looks like we're recording. Richard, good man, I want to say, because I'm a professional, and I guess 3 years of doing this. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Dakota.
Oh, I gotta say, it's an honor to have you here for one, and two, we have been trying to do this for a little bit, and you were very gracious in order to put the date back, by the way.
Hey, it's it's life, right? Like life comes up. There's always something going on. So yeah, I totally understand.
I bet money, though. I really bet money that you did not expect. You get an email from me, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do the show, and then it's like, hey, can we push it back? Because I have to go work with some Crocs.
Yeah, no, that was a surprise.
Yeah,
but that's pretty awesome that you work with reptiles, or is it like endangered species kind of thing?
A little bit and such. I work at one of my main jobs is I work at an exotic animal hospital.
Nice.
And as a veterinary assistant, so that makes it interesting. And then also when I'm not there, I'm working at a reptile sanctuary that has endangered, large, small anacondas, crocodilians, bugs, a little bit of aquatics. There's anything there you could think, like stuff from Kenya, Argentina, and shit.
Wow.
Cobras, venomous, all that sort of stuff. And then I write comic books and do podcasts.
Oh yeah, if that wasn't enough, right?
Yeah. Like this is just what is free time anymore?
Yeah.
Who knows? Whoa! But thank you so much for being gracious enough with your time. And I hear birds in the back too, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'm sitting in my backyard because my kids are inside, and the house is just like super loud. We don't have like a huge house, so
that's fair.
That's fair. This is like the quietest place around. So
I get it. I mean, we're doing audio only because there's been some moving things in the past couple of months, and I'm still trying to set up my studio, and it's been a whole thing and a half. Let me tell you, when you think you have everything together and you're going straight on, your car tells you no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You ever had that happen?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've had that happen to me. I've had like 2 weeks ago, well, no, not even 2 weeks ago. It was like more like a week and a half. Like we had like found out my dishwasher was leaking. So
oh no,
it leaked under the floor. We had to tear up my entire kitchen floor. We're still kind of dealing with that. But it's like, yeah, no warning, no nothing. It was just like, walking in the kitchen and you're like, is the floor squishing? Like, what's going on here?
Oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That'd be my... You see, my first thought would be, we have a sinkhole in this house. We need to get the hell out. that would be my first thought. I've seen the videos. I know what happens.
Yeah, not quite that bad, but yeah, it was bad enough that it was just like, oh, great. Can't believe I have to deal with this now. And it was like a whole thing.
I should have known, because my car, people who are listening, by the way, know that we talk about comics every now and then, but each other show goes, I'm like, let's talk about comics. And then I had this thing recently where my car, the first time, it's been in the shop 7 times in the 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time was when my temperature light came on. And we're just, me and my girlfriend driving back from Arby's. And I'm like, oh, shit, all right. And then, my dad's an engineer and mechanic guy, so he taught me a little bit, and I flew planes before I knew how to drive a car. And so I'm feeling it, and then the temperature's going up, and I'm feeling all this stuff. I'm like, like, and I pull over. I don't say anything, and I pull over. I had checked the coolant. My engine fan. Long story short, my engine fan gave out. And yeah, we're in Phoenix, so
yeah,
even at night, it tends to be like, oh fuck. And I do all this stuff for that. I do some coolant things. I barely make it back, and I come to find out my car almost exploded.
Oh my god.
And it was like, oh shit. And so we did a few little fixer-uppers, took it to the shop, and then it was like, oh, the AC fan went out. Oh, your temperature gauge gave out. Oh, your tire is about to fall off. And it's like, I fixed my car. What the hell? It was one thing after another. And then, oh, you try to put gas in. And whenever I put gas in and I turn my ignition, and then my car would just not start. Only when I put gas in.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was a whole gas part I had no idea existed. So studio's been taking some time.
Yeah, can imagine.
Oh boy. But yeah, so I mean, you obviously though I think are pretty busy too, to say the least here, especially with comics wise, it seems like.
Yeah. You know, like I got I have a day job that I work in advertising and stuff, and that takes up time. Shit. Got the kids and I got the comics, and the comics are getting busier, so you know, definitely like going to sleep later some nights and stuff like that. But
I know what you mean by later, 1 a.m.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna like complain, because I'm really happy with how things have been going.
Yeah, you're dealing with the same amount of craziness. It's just more homely.
Yeah.
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 You got your own animals in a way to deal with. But that's not too bad. I mean, it seems like a whole balancing act. So, like, people say I'm crazy, but people like yourself who have the day job and have a family with kids and such like that, and still doing comics, to me, you guys are the real MVPs. Because you have another human. You have, like, I don't know how many kids you have, but you say kids, so I'm guessing more than one.
Yeah, I got 2.
Oh my god, so, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
my dad could barely handle his life. He couldn't, and he was trying to build RC cars. And as a hobby, and he couldn't even handle it with us growing up. I mean, how do you balance all that shit? Like, how?
Well, you know, yes, it's kind of like sleep gets sacrificed a lot. But I think it's like kind of, you know, what it comes down to for me is just sort of like making maximum use of the free time that I do have. So it's like, if I know I'm going to have like an hour or two, like I could spend that watching TV or playing a video game, or I could spend it like writing and working on my own stuff. And believe me, there's plenty of times where I'm just like, I don't have it in me, and I just want to watch, like, you know, Loki or whatever. You know what I mean? But like,
I get it.
Like there's like tons of days like that, but you know, but it's also just sort of like, you know, just kind of like, okay, well, I got like, you know, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and also always just sort of like, I guess I kind of developed the skill of just never kind of turning my brain off as far as like thinking goes. So it's like, so it's always like kind of like in my head, like the things I like the projects I'm working on. So it's like if I can work it out in my head and then maybe like jot down a note or something, and then when I do have the time, it's like kind of like I'm ahead of the game, you know, like I can get like right into it without having to like you know, sit and stare at the blank screen for an hour before I can, like, you know, get into it.
Yeah. I think it's that thing that people are like, oh, you gotta have a schedule. It's like, yeah, but we can schedule the time out. But I think it's about that mental schedule too, almost.
Yeah.
Like if you can make the time, but then if your head's in a way different place, something happened to one of the kids, be like, it's my writing time. The fuck are you gonna do? Or like if I come home from work and it's been like a day of, I don't mean to get dark, but it's just like some days we'll have like 6 euthanasias at work. It's just like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna be able to come home and write any comic books. Like, there's no way in hell I can try. But I'll look back at the scripts, or my boss will be like at SGJ's Comics, and we'll be like, yo, are you okay? Like, are you good? Like, it's that mental scheduling. I think people don't ever talk about it, but I think it's something that needs to be out there.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like one of those things like where like the kind of like the things that like advice people like trot out or whatever, and like the super basic one is like, oh, if you want to be a writer, you have to write every day. And it's like, no, you know, I don't believe in that, because there's just some days where things are crazy. There's some days where I just don't have it in me. And it's like, and if that was like my rule, I would be like beating myself up so much because I would feel like, oh, I didn't hit my goal today. I didn't write. You know, it's like, it's not about that. It's about like writing like when you can. It's about like making it a priority. You know, it's like, okay, so like maybe I'm not gonna like like finish that level of Spider-Man on my PS4 or whatever. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'm not gonna like you know, go be like completely up to date with like all the shows I like or whatever, you know. But it's like, you know, I can like fill it in like another. It's just about kind of like prioritizing your life. And it's like if the writing part is important, then it's like you just find ways to make time for it.
Exactly.
But like the whole thing of like, you know, you must write every day. It's like, no, you know, like we're not like, people aren't machines. It's not, you know, shit happens and you got to deal with it.
Exactly. I've had long arguments. I say quote unquote arguments with friends of mine too who are writers in film. And they're like, oh, I write every day. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, what do you, do you really? I don't, can you record this? Because I think
it's like good for you. Good for you if you can, but like, I can't, so.
Yeah, but then there are people who also have kids too, or they have like a bunch of pets. And I'm like, you're full of it. There's no way. There's not like, and I get it too. Like, recently I've always been a huge fan and I've played plenty of times, but my mental therapy has been diving back in the Fallout. In either one of the games, and then New Vegas glitch the other day, so I've been dealing with that. But then, like, I'm just redoing Fallout. And it's like, well, you're like, you gonna do some writing? Like, no. It's been a long day. I'm gonna crack open a beer. Not your father's root beer. Fuck it. Why not? Thank Brand. Support the podcast. And then it's some Fallout. You know, like it's a thing like that. And
yeah, you gotta like kind of mentally like, you know, decompress sometimes, and it's like. You know, that's just how it is.
Oh, yeah. And artists out there listening, too, because we got plenty of those to listen to the show. You guys are in the same boat. Very much the same boat.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no, art is like, you know, as hard as writing can be sometimes, doing art, especially for comics, is like 10 times harder. It's like, God, you know. Yeah.
That's magic to me.
Like, if I write, like, so-and-so is walking through a crowd, that takes me like 5 minutes. It's like, you know, for the artist to draw it, it's like, you know, they're probably like cursing me, like, why is he walking in a crowd?
Yeah.
Can't everybody just be alone? Like,
you'd have him walking down an alleyway or some shit. Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you ever get this way? And there's some people who say no, because it's the artist job that I've talked to, and some friends of mine who feel that way too. But I'm like, I always feel kind of guilty, and I think it's a thing as a writer. Tell me how you feel about this. Is you almost feel guilty sometimes. We're like, it fits the storyline so well. It's an epic scene. It's really cool, and it's really fun to write. But then you're thinking, and you're like, fuck, I don't know if I want to kill my artist. Like, but and I don't know, like, did he send that message or something like, hey, it's okay. Like,
yeah, no, I've done that before, where it's like you know, like, look, this is like crazy ambitious, like what I'm thinking of, and you know, I want to hear your thoughts about it. And like, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, let me see what I can come up with, and you know, they go do their thing. But I've definitely, like, you know, I like to view it as like a collaboration. So it's like if I'm like going to be, you know, asking somebody to like do something, even, you know, doesn't even necessarily have to be something crazy. It's like I'm always like looking to kind of be in close touch with artists I work with, and just talk about, you know, what they're doing, and you know, like if they have any kind of questions or things we need to like work through, or like you know, maybe I wrote like something in the script, but then like they're laying it out, and like oh, well, what if I did this and it could be cooler? Like, you know, I love having those discussions, because you know, 99% of the time it winds up making the book better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's a collaboration.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a collaboration. Like, and if you don't, like, every now and then I'll be like, hey, how's it going? So my artist, Paul, and I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And such like that. Do you have any questions about anything? Or, hey, how do you feel about this? If you want to change some things, you can. Like, it's a whole thing that I have, especially when I think, I don't know. I mean, you've done your own series before too, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I've done a few, actually. Yeah.
when you're kind of creating characters in a sense, that's my favorite part, I think, especially when you start a new series. How do you feel about that? Because to me, creating characters with your artist is the best. I don't know why, but creating that character is awesome.
No, it's amazing because it's like you have like a picture in your head of like what the character looks like, and then to kind of see that picture in your head come to life, it's like it feels like magic. It's like,
yes,
it's like there's just something like so cool about like even if it's not like exactly what you pictured in your head, it's like most of the time it winds up being better than what you pictured, but like there's just like something so cool about like it's almost like like a weird metaphor, like let's say you were like kind of like corresponding with somebody or like emailing with them and like you've never met them, and then you see them and like and you meet them and you put a face to the name and it's like, yes, that's what you look like, oh my god. It's like it's like a weird kind of thing like that.
And the best thing is always like, hey, how can I make it better to you? And you're like, you can't. Like, and the artist, like, I've had it plenty of times with Paul, is he's like, wow, well, I feel like we can make it better. I'm like, no, you can't. It's great. Like, but it's like, maybe. Then later on, you're like, maybe, but no, not really.
I mean, sometimes it takes a little while to nail. Like I had this series, Wailing Blade, that I did with my friend Joe Mulvey.
Great series.
And like, what?
It was a great series.
Thank you. So like for the main character, the head taker, like he sketched like, probably like 20 different looks.
Oh, shit.
And like, and it was like, we were just kind of working together. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, like, yeah, that's cool. I like that, what you did on the arm there, but I like what you did on the leg on that one. And it was just like kind of a process, and then like that happens sometimes, and other times it's like, like it's just like lightning, like it's like perfect. But
hey folks, Dakota here with a little bit of an ad break, but this is one you definitely want to listen to if you guys are a comic fan, which you are if you're listening to the show. You guys like comics and you like reading them in person. Let me tell you, go to Drawn the Comics in Glendale, Arizona. This is not just a hype thing for this ad. Let me tell you, I've been going there for years. I've had Cam Brown on the show all the time. Such a good guy. It's such a good community. Everyone who works there, they know you. You get your box number. You get your thing. You get all you need to do there. You get your collectible toys, car, whatever it may be. Comics, it's all there for you guys. That's Drawn the Comics in Glendale, Arizona. Here's the address. 5801 West Glendale Avenue, Glendale, Arizona, in downtown Glendale. And if you guys want to visit them, you can visit them, drawntocomics.com, or find them on social media, and the number is 623-847-9090. You give them a call. Definitely, guys, I love going to the store. And this is not a fucking lie. I love going. It's so amazing. Thanks, everyone. And hopefully you guys check them out if you're in Arizona or maybe passing through. Remember, guys, Drawn the Comics. Go check it out for your books. Reading books in person is so much better than digital. But I love digital, too, so it's a little bit of a toss-up. Support brick-and-mortar companies. We definitely need you to. Thanks, everyone. And now, without further ado, I'm going to take it back to future me.
But yeah, that's a great part of the process is like design, like the kind of, I guess you'd call it like the design phase or concept phase or whatever, like with characters, with like settings, like, if you're doing like a science fiction book or something, like, like let's just say like it's set on a spaceship or whatever, like when you see like what the spaceship's going to look like or, stuff like that. It's great.
I think it's because we, as anybody who gets in the comics business, is we love to create in a way. Like, actually, not in a way. We just love to create. So I think, and especially when you're together creating with people, when you're by yourself and you create, it's one thing. But when you're with people and you're creating, and everyone, the gears are all turning each other, you guys are all working together. It's a thing where you're like, this is great. And it really gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of happiness in a way, too, because you're creating something and people are going to look at it and they're going to enjoy it, too. Or they're going to hate it and then tweet at you later about it. But either fucking way. But there's that. And then it's just a thing and a half where you're like, this is great. I mean, I loved writer rooms back in the day before COVID when I worked a lot in film. I'd love to go to a writer's room when we're working on scripts or shit like that. Or when you're building something, no matter what it is. Like, I was writing comic books at a time, and then I was also doing stuff in film where building World War I costumes for a movie. That was awesome. You know, it's a thing to see it come to life, I think, in a way, or even just the process of creation is, it's a beautiful thing. It's hard to put in words. I write a lot of comic books, but it's hard to put in words in a way.
Yeah. I mean, like when you're doing it like alone, like, you know, you don't know whether it's like really good or if it's just like kind of you think it's good. And there's nothing wrong with like something that like you think is cool but everybody else, you know, does not think is cool. But there is just sort of something like exciting when you say like, I had this cool idea and someone else says that is a cool idea. You know, it's like it's just like, I don't know if it's like the validation or whatever, but it's just sort of like, you know, not like that. One of the great things about like doing like creation like collaboratively like you do in comic books and film is it's like you have like kind of a lot of people coming together and like sort of, you know, it's like everybody just sort of builds on what everybody else is doing. So it's great.
Man, I think we're kind of lucky in a way, or because it's like I mean, it's just a lot of things. People always tell me, like, "Oh, you guys must take it for granted all the time." Like, no, we don't. Like, we know how lucky we are. Anybody in this, even people who are working for comic books and like making their own thing and putting it on Kickstarter and it gets backed like crazy. Like, people are like, "Oh, they must have just got lucky." They're like, well, no, they work hard, and you know, they get to create now, and it gets to reach people. Like, you can never take it for granted. There's very few people who I know that have. Like, very few. I can maybe think of 2 off the top of my head, and that's it. And those people I don't even think are around anymore. So there you go. But yeah,
no, I don't think anybody really takes it for granted because it's a lot of work. Even like, you know, like even a comic that like maybe like let's say it's like doesn't read the best or doesn't like look the best or whatever, like I kind of just give people the benefit of the doubt and just, you know, it's like they did the best that they could, and it's a lot of hard work, even if it's not something that's my taste or something that like I don't, you know, think is great. It's like there's still a lot of work went into it. Like nobody like just goes out and says like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a piece of crap and waste all this time and effort. You know, it's like everybody's, you know, I mean, you know, again, like there's probably like 1 or 2 examples of people I can think, but you know, again, like I'd say like 90% of the people out there, 99% are like, you know, giving it their all. So,
well, we're always working too. That's the thing. Like you can't take it for granted because you're always fucking working, especially those people who run their own stuff, or you know, or indie book guys. I think indie book guys, we work the hardest. Like Marvel, DC folks work like a son of a bitch, but
well, it's a different kind of work. It's like it's impossible to like kind of, you know, mail it in or like impossible to kind of get around doing the work, you know,
promoting your own stuff online, you know, it's you don't have the whole promotion of Warner Brothers in DC to like, here's my book.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to do like 5 or 6 jobs that, you know, whereas like if you're doing like a Marvel or DC thing, it's like you just got your one job. You're the writer, you got to write about it, you know. And it's like, and even if you never, you know, even if you never tweeted about it, you know that like DC is going to be tweeting about it or whatever, you know. It's like
exactly.
So
exactly. I mean, you've done some Marvel and DC shit too, though.
Yeah, very little right at this point, but yeah, I've done. I did just did a Superman story for Superman Red and Blue. I've done TMNT stuff for IDW. Still cracking that Marvel nut, but you know, we'll see what happens like next year or something.
Hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, people have gotten jobs from this podcast before. I'm not even shitting you. A buddy of mine, Andy Poon, he was on the podcast once. He's a concept. He helps design the suits and create them for the CW shows. He's like, oh, I want to work on Batman. The episode came out 2 months later. I saw, but he's like, he sent me a message. He's like, I get to work on Batwoman now. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I said I put it out in the ether, and I don't know who listened to it or what, but the next thing I know, I get a call saying, hey, we heard you want to work on Batman. And you're like, and I'm like, oh, you son of a
That's
bitch.
amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, meanwhile,
That's
I've been saying,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
People at
No,
Marvel.
you never do. I mean, like the Superman thing kind of came about. Like I the guy who was editing the Superman line at DC, his name, he recently left the position, but his name is Jamie Rich, and he's a great editor. But I first got in touch with him when he was running Vertigo because I wanted to try to do a creator-owned book at Vertigo, or whatever it is at Vertigo. But I wanted to do like an original series there, and I pitched him a bunch of stuff, and nothing really ever came of it. But we stayed in touch, and then like when I heard he got the Superman job, I just sort of was like, sent him an email just saying like, hey, congrats, man, that's awesome. I love Superman, so if you ever need anything, I have a couple of ideas. And lo and behold, like even then, still took still a few months, but he was just like, hey, what's your Superman idea? And there we go. So it's like just totally like,
It happens
not
out
like
of left
random,
field.
but not
Yeah.
yeah. It's not like I was expecting it. Like it wasn't like
No.
it was like, okay, well, Superman job is going to come through 2021. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. So
No one ever does when you get those phone calls, though. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I mean, shit. I'll tell you what. If people would have said, "Oh, because like all the work we mentioned before, the work I do in wildlife, like that was going to be my later on jobs I wanted to get into. Like after doing years of stuff in film and comic books, 2020 happened. That was a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
and then so it's like, well, everything's put on hold for a while, so let's go to wildlife. And who would have thought? And then 7 comic book series now, like people. I became a comic book writer because of this podcast, because I had on a guy who was running a new indie company starting up, SGGS Comics, and next thing you know, pitched them an idea because like, hey, I got an idea for it, fuck it, and then I have 7 books now. Like it's
great.
Yeah, like it's a thing that you never know when it's gonna happen, but when it does, and when that first domino falls, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely it's weird. It's like almost like you kind of. People see you're doing work and they like it, so it's it's just like it's more just like kind of like, oh wow, okay, so this guy or gal knows what they're doing, so I want to work with them. It's like, I run into a lot of people at like conventions and stuff where it's like, I remember one guy, I was like walking as New York Comic Con, and New York Comic Con, he kind of at the time. It was all the way on the. I mean, it still is all the way on the west side of Manhattan, and you can take the train there now. But that year that I'm talking about, you basically had the train to I think like 8th Avenue and walk over. There was like kind of no other way to do it unless you wanted to take a cab or something. But whatever, it's like nice weather. It was like, so I was just walking over, and I kind of struck up a conversation with a guy, and he like heard I was a writer, and he's like, oh, like I have a lot of ideas too. I think DC totally screwed up Flashpoint, and I could write it much better. Like, do you think I should go talk to them? Like, maybe I could like fix it for them. And I'm like, good luck. You're gonna have like a tough time, because everybody has ideas about like what they think could be cool or whatever, but having ideas isn't really the job. You know what I mean? It's like the job is actually making the comic. So it's like you got to really, like, when you start doing it, even if it's like say like some self-published short story that you did, not didn't sell great or whatever, you know what I mean? Like just something you just did, just having something that's like done, you're already ahead of like 90% of the people that want to do the job. Because most people, they just think like, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? I have this cool idea, and then they don't do anything with it. But like once you start doing stuff with it, that's when you really start seeing kind of the results, because somebody will read it and they'll be like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this. And then they're just more open to, more open to talking to you. They kind of see you in a different light. You're not one of these people who wants to, tell everybody what's wrong with, what's wrong with the comics you're putting out.
Yeah.
It's like this is somebody who like has ideas and and is like executing them and stuff like that. So I think like making stuff is probably like the number one thing you can do.
Yeah, I think that there's a quote out there, and I don't remember who it was from. They said 50% of writers don't ever write because they're like, I want to write this, and it's like they never do, and it's like, yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying you're right. Like it's so true. It's insane how true it is, and people don't ever realize that. If you sit down and think about it, how many times you heard, "I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write that." Oh, I have this idea. Well, then do it.
Like, yeah. I mean, I get it. It's hard. Yeah. Like I spent years and years like thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write an awesome novel, like a fantasy novel, and it's gonna be one of these like epic like Lord of the Rings things. Like I have like ideas for days, and like I would start and get to around like 3 or 4 chapters in, and then just lose steam, and I couldn't get over the hump. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even really good, like the stuff I was writing. So it's like, it's hard, and you got to do it a lot. And it's like you got to do it when you hate doing it. You got to do it when like inspiration is not always going to flow, but it's like the doing it is like what gets you there. Because
exactly,
like, yeah.
And the fact is, you started that novel at least. Most people be like, I want to write this, and they never do. So you at least took the initiative and did it. Like I remember when like a couple years ago, before writing comic books, well, I was like as a job, I was like, I want to write something, and I did. I think I have the first draft binder somewhere in my room. There's a binder full of all this like shitty concept art I did online, because I'm not an artist at all. I'll make that clear. And all like these character designs and names and storylines, stuff like that. Like I made the book Young Power, the first one. There's a first binder draft of that shit, and I actually made it. And so it was like, did it go anywhere? Yeah, it took a couple years, and I could say, hey, here's this. It goes back to what we were talking about. You do it, because if you do it and complete it, even if you just have something, maybe it'll take a couple years to marinate. But when it finally comes out of the oven, you're going to be, oh my God, this is great.
Yeah. And like, I think the way to kind of like, I think if you're like a starting writer and something like, doing work at Marvel or DC or doing work, I have a friend who,
Hey folks, Dakota here, giving you guys a little bit of an ad break, but something really, really cool though. I swear to God. I have a new store, to say the least here, and it's called DakotaMorgan.store. It's a new Teespring store that we have going on here, where if you like this show, we have the Man of Steel-esque logo, to say the least here, the Comic Chronicle podcast logo, on some shirts, some mugs, some tote bags, but we also have some really other cool stuff on the Teespring store. That is, of course, we have video games, our therapy, design, like little digital heart logo that we have on there, Blockbuster Kid, a little riff on the Blockbuster logo on there, show that you're a Blockbuster Kid with the Blockbuster Kid logo shirt. We also have fun designs on there that are dinosaur-esque. Well, they're dinosaurs, but mixed with modern day animals, such as our Tricera cow and the Oviraptor mixed with a blue and yellow macaw, to say the least, with a little bit of tropical flowers with it, and much more stuff on there. Of course, you guys can get all these designs on mugs, travel mugs, stickers, tote bags, t-shirts, and I think a little bit more too, but you guys are going to have to check that out here. That is DakotaMorgan.store. And it will take you straight to the Teespring store. And of course, they are very affordable for you guys, because I know times are tough. So they are definitely affordable for all those nerd fans out there. But wear your freak flag high, whether it's with comics, video games, a throwback to good times, or better times to say the least, or paleo with some dinosaurs, and that would make things pretty cute. Of course, so we have women and men shirts available as well too. Thanks everybody. You all rock. Remember, DakotaMorgan.store. Now, back to the show.
Cool. And he's like he was like the hugest Power Rangers fan, and all he really wanted to write like a Power Rangers comic. So it's like he started putting out his own indie comics, and he just did his first Power Rangers gig. It's like a dream come true for him, because that's like his like the second I met him, he was like there's like 2 or 3 dream things that I want to work on in Power Rangers. Is one of them, and
Very nice.
and it's really it's awesome for him, and like what it really just sort of came down to was he like figured out who is editing the Power Rangers books, and just sent them his stuff, and sent them his stuff, and they read it and liked it, and then it was sort of just like a matter of time of like finding like the right project that they could like slot him in on, But it's like if he hadn't been writing, and he hadn't been kind of doing his own thing, then there's nothing for them to read and know that like, okay, this is like a person that I want to work with, because like really I think like what you have to look at it like is it's like when you're publishing your own stuff, you get to do whatever you want, because you're the one paying for it. It's like if you want to go work for DC, it's like they're going to be paying you, number one, but they're also going to be paying an artist. They're going to be paying a colorist, a letterer. They're going to pay for the printing. They are paying the salaries of people who are doing the marketing and all that stuff. So it's like, when you're asking to work with them, you're really asking for them to sort of like take a chance on you, that all the money that they invest in the project, they're gonna make back, and they're gonna make some money on top of that. So it's like, if you don't have work to back that up, it's like you're just asking them to take your word for it. And I mean, you'd have to be pretty persuasive.
Yeah, it's possible, but you really got to go to words.
Yeah, you got to be like able to like like sell used cars or something. I don't know, like that level of like.
I don't even think that would work, Richard. I don't think that would work at all.
Probably not.
I think you got to be like political persuasive almost.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
But like so it's really kind of about like your body of work is really kind of like your it's like your calling card or like your portfolio or whatever.
Yeah,
and
it's your business.
It just sort of proves it proves that you're not bullshitting. You can do the job that you're asking them to let you do.
Exactly. I mean, well, talking about dream stuff though, do you have any dream series you want to work? I mean, shit, you worked on Superman. I mean, that's one of mine. But like, do you have any?
No lie, that was a dream. That was like something I never thought I would do. Yeah, like I love Superman. Like it all goes back to like seeing the Christopher Reeve movie as a kid, and just like being kind of enchanted with like that idea of Superman. But yeah, that was like a dream character, and it was amazing that was like kind of the first DC character I ever wrote. But yeah, I definitely have dream characters. I'd love to write like if anyone out there is listening, I would love to do Ghost Rider. I would love to do I have like a really cool story that I would love to do involving Sabretooth, the Wolverine villain.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just like one of those things where it's like, you kind of, an idea gets in your head and you can't get it out. But major Sabretooth fan. I like a lot of the X-Villains, actually. I like Juggernaut a lot. I like, I don't know, kind of like, I guess, the darker side of the X-Men universe. But
you have some good taste, sir. You have some good taste.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to work on that. Batman, would love to do something with like in kind of like the Bat universe.
Yeah.
I love Red Hood.
Oh,
He's one of my faves.
You'll be making a comeback pretty soon too.
Yeah, I know. And he's going to be on the TV show too, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of characters out there, that I think I could like do some fun stuff with. I have like this kind of like horror themed like Punisher idea I would love to do, but that's probably I think like everybody has a Punisher idea, so it's probably a pretty hard book to
Valid.
get. But
yeah, and I can see you're aiming for some good characters though. Mine, well, mine are they're pretty good characters. You have some really good taste. I appreciate that. But it's no one's ever said Sabretooth on the show. I think you're like the first person that ever mentioned like Sabretooth at all. That's great. Because I'm with you. I love the X-Men villains, and I think Sabretooth is underrated. I think he deserves more. But
yeah.
Oh, we could do this Sabretooth series. Oh, that'd be okay. Marvel, if you're listening. Anybody, I know people at Marvel are listening, but the thing with I have like a good Green Lantern story that I think about, and Flash. Like those two come to mind off the top of my head that I have some stories for. Part of me wants to do. You remember Gotham Central?
Yeah. Gotham, yeah. That was a great series and a great like kind of like way in like doing like the Batman vibe without like necessarily centering it on Batman.
Exactly.
Which I think is awesome. Yeah.
I really want to do the Metropolis version of that. I
think nice. That's a cool idea. Yeah.
I like you got cops going against aliens, metahumans like crazy in there too. I mean, I have the storyline written up because I was like one here from a couple years ago. I was like, I don't know, let's make this. Let's see what happens. And yeah, the whole like I don't know, Metropolis Finest is I think what I called. I should not be saying this on the podcast. I'm fucked. Oh no. They're like Metropolis Finest, new series out. Like, damn it. Yeah, like I think that'd be cool. To me, that's something like they kind of experimented with it in the recent Superman comics where they were like talking about the fire department and stuff in there. What it was like when they introduced a fireman captain with her. But yeah. I think like Metropolis PD is almost worse than Gotham PD. Because you have a lot more. I don't know. What do you think? Yay or nay on that? People say yay, people say nay. But I think Metropolis is almost worse because they have alien invasions and people with powers running amok, other than like crime lords and shit.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea. Like I think one of the things that I really liked about Brian Bendis's run on Superman was like he kind of introduced the idea that there was this whole kind of criminal underground in Metropolis that had to do all their business without speaking, because like if you said out loud like I'm going to do a drug deal on the corner of 101st Street and whatever, Superman might hear you and he's going to come and he's going to mess it up.
And they couldn't say the word Superman. They knew.
Yeah, he's listening. It's like he's like Santa Claus. Like he knows everything that's going on. So it's like I think it's really interesting. Like,
sorry, I was gonna say a Superman. I'm sorry, the power of Skype. We're interlocked every now and then. But I was gonna say, is Superman like the embodiment of the NSA? Is what Bendis was going for?
I don't know.
Oh,
but it's like an interesting question. Like how do you do crime under Superman's nose?
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then if you're a cop, how do you stop criminals that are smart enough to do crime under Superman's nose? So I think it's a great idea for a series.
Or they absorb bullets. Like what do you do then? And they're like, oh, what happened? Oh, we lost 3.
Not to mention alien invasions and stuff like that. It's like, what happens when like Superman's on like on Mars, like fighting somebody, and that's when the aliens decide to invade Metropolis.
Or like
somebody's got to deal with it.
Yeah, or you even got like CD listers who are they're like, well, what happened last night? Oh, we lost the 3 cops. Like I said, the last 3. Why? Oh, Parasite went amok. Oh shit! Like as soon as they say Parasite, they're like, oh, how many did we lose this time? Because like, well, yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, the pricks at Star Labs and the feds, they took over the whole thing from us, but we're the real heroes. It's like, oh shit. Like, it could work. It could really. DC, come on. We, hire us both. We give you ideas. Richard's done Superman before. He's the way. Oh, listen, I'll send you I'll send no words if there's ever happens and be like, look what has happened, and I'll just send you the promo artwork, and then it's like some other dude or a woman's on it, and it's gonna be like, yeah.
It happens. I mean, it happens. You know, it's happened to me a couple of times. Not with like Superman stuff, but it's like it's happened where like I've had like an idea in my head, and then like you kind of open up like a news site and they announce a new comic series, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was the idea. I think it's like kind of a whole like Armageddon Deep Impact kind of thing. It's like, you know, we're kind of like we're all kind of like drawing from like a lot of similar things, so it's like, you know, similarities and ideas are going to happen. But
then does it tie into the Mandela effect? Who knows? That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, you never know. I don't know. Yeah,
man. Now I want you to write Sabretooth, though. Out of this whole podcast, I really want you to write Sabretooth is what I'm figuring out. Richard? Did I lose you, good man? I think I might have.
Hold on, let me wait. I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Weird.
That was really weird.
Maybe it's because I'm outside.
I don't.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I would love to write Sabretooth too. Like, you know, like I have it all planned out in my head. So, give me a call.
Yeah. No shit. No shit. If out of all this, anybody listening out there has not realized, like, these guys got good ideas. I don't know what to tell you. It's like, I don't know what to tell you at all here. I really don't. Well, speaking of stuff though that you've been doing, because we're coming near the end of the show, because I don't want to take too much of your time today. What do you have anything coming out though that you want to promote though, Richard?
Yeah, actually, I have a book coming out. It's going to be coming out on Kickstarter. I think we're launching tomorrow, actually.
Oh shit!
It's called weird timing. It's called Happy Hill. It's a kind of horror comedy like story I'm doing with Joe Mulvey, who I did Wailing Blade with. We're having a lot of fun with it. Basically, the premise is it's like I guess like we've been describing it as like kind of Willy Wonka meets The Shining. It's like it's basically like this resort in the Catskills that people go to, and not everybody comes back from, and it's like it's just this like wild, crazy place where, like, you know, not everything is what it seems. And I've been having like a really great time working with Joe on it. It's because we're co-writing it and he's drawing it. So he's been like, you know, we like kicking a lot of fun ideas back and forth. So it's really cool. It's called Happy Hill.
Happy Hill.
And if you go to, and I think if you look it up on Kickstarter, you could sign up to know when it's going to launch, or you go check it out. You can check it out on my Twitter, Douek. I'll be like posting the link and everything like that. So
this works because this podcast episode comes out. I'm dating the show, but dating the episode, I should say. But this actually comes out tomorrow too. So everyone listening on Monday, everyone. Well, because today's Sunday, right? Oh, I'd hope so. Otherwise, I'm in trouble at work. But it comes out Monday. Oh, I'd be so much trouble. So it comes out Monday. So everyone listening to the podcast on the release date, which is a lot of people will really listen to it on Monday, go check it out on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I do have other stuff coming out, like probably like later this year into next year, but unfortunately, nothing I could talk about. So but it'll be cool. So stay tuned. It's hate to be vague, but you know, there's like NDAs in place and stuff like that. So
it's the bane of our existence as creators of NDAs. It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also,
but it's really cool. Like, I'm happy to come back and talk about it when it gets announced. So, you know,
that's true.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Like, you know, I gotta admit though, not NDAs, but it's the stuff you can never like. Pictures taken and like stories. Like, I think one day I'll do an episode where I talk about like experiences at the animal hospital, because there's shit I can't talk about because of the same reason. And I'm like, man, I'm under double scrutiny. When I was doing film like crazy too, it would people like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, they're like, you do so much with film, comics, animals. Like, yeah, I do. What can you talk about? Oh, jack shit. Why? Welcome to contracts and every single little thing you do.
Yep.
Oh God. But you know what? They're good. But once it really, I appreciate it because then stuff doesn't get leaked too early, and it's a whole catastrophe when it does. Ugh.
Yeah. No, I understand. And like, it's like one of those things where it's like it's a good problem to have because I'm still working on the stuff. So,
Exactly.
I don't want to trade that away.
Yeah.
But like I said, just like when the time's right, I'm happy to talk about everything. But
Woohoo.
keep an eye out for my name because you're going to be seeing it in a few places.
Where
So,
can people find you at on social media, though?
I'm on both Twitter and Instagram at @Douek. It's RDOUEK. I have to spell it out for everybody because it's a weird last name,
Fire.
but it's mine. But yeah, I'm most active on Twitter. But I also have a newsletter that you can subscribe. If you go to rdouek.com, you'll see a little tab that says newsletter. You there. I don't like do it weekly because I kind of feel like I don't want to like kind of bombard people. So I try to do it like, once or twice a month, like if I have special news, stuff like that. But yeah, that's another way to, keep up with like what I'm working on. And it's also like, you can get a little more in depth than you can like on Twitter and stuff like that, since, I can like write like long stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to keep it like, I talk about my stuff. I try to talk a little bit about like writing and freelancing and stuff like that. And so, yeah, anyone wants to sign up, it's at rdouek.com.
Good shit, man. Good shit. Well, Richard, I do want to say thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Of course. And I know you're doing a lot of your own work too and whatnot right now, comics. Like if you ever want to come back, like invitation's open.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Love to. And yeah, hit me up anytime.
Sweet. All righty. Well, you have a good one, Richard. Okay. I'll send you an email when everything comes out or whatnot. It comes out tomorrow, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know. Like, and tag me or whatever it is, and I'll let my folks know too. So
sweet. Thank you, Richard. You rock it, man.
Yeah, man. Great time.
Right.
Thanks. Take care. All right. Bye.